can they participate? According to government's own estimates, and this is, we are quoting the Principal Secretary for Diaspora Affairs, Rosalind Jogu, says around 4 million Kenyans are out there, okay? So the ones that the government actually knows about, knows about a certain number, and the ones that the government estimates are out there are about 4 million. Only 10,000 of them are registered as voters. And of the 12 countries that participated in the general election, there were very many challenges that happened then. And now you and other Kenyans have come together and said, let's come up with proposals on how this can then be sorted out. Question number one, though, when you talk about diaspora, you guys are not homogenous. I mean, there are different people who've gone there in different time zones, they're living in different countries, and their motivation for being out there are completely different. Just like those who are in Kenya. There's nothing different about that, right? But then, even among diaspora leaders, do you speak the same language? No. Like I would ask you, how many diaspora leaders have participated in drafting this proposal?
We don't speak the same language. Mm-hmm. Because I've tried this. I think this is one of the group that actually have tried to put diaspora leaders involved, because for a long time there have been always supremacy and who is leading which organization. They will register an organization, have them, getting some support. It hasn't been an agenda for the diaspora per se, but it was more of a certain region. So if the UK or the Europe team comes up with an organization, maybe for the diaspora, then the US team will be like, UK.
That's Europe.
Yeah. So, but this one I've tried. I didn't do it 100% because it was more of drafting. Hasn't gone to the public participation yet. Just putting the ideas together. So we are about 90 leaders spread across the world, and out of which they have really shared a lot of insights and making this draft to be the way it is at the moment. But once now, yesterday we gave it to the jailer committee, and they're going to look into it, and they have given us good feedback. So once they resume next year, I think they're going for long races in February. So they come back in February. We'll be having a follow-up conversation with them. If it goes to the floor of the House and now it goes to public participation, it will now be a whole diaspora to be involved, because it's so hard to do drafting a bill with 1 million or 10 million or
involving everyone.
It's you can't even come up with a sentence.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've really tried. I know some are not happy, as always, but as a leader, you have to make some hard decision.
On this matter of representation, the country you now live in, remember, that was the clarion call for the independence. No taxation without
representation.
Exactly. Now, here we are with fellow Kenyans in the diaspora. Let's say the nomination that you seek is granted. Have you figured out how this will work? I mean, you have a representative, say, in Europe, a representative in North America, a representative in South America, etc., etc.
Yeah, so it's a bigger issue there. That is the governance structure of the diaspora. At the moment, we don't have a single governance structure. There has been an attempt to do an umbrella organization in the diaspora to have a single voice. It has not worked.
But why do you want a single voice?
Not like at least the majority. For us, we have issues in the diaspora that are common across, like the right to vote. It's an issue that's spread across the diaspora.
Yes.
When it comes to social welfare, it's an issue that's spread across the diaspora. Then we have those specific targets, the issues that American diaspora goes through is a bit different from the Middle East. So they are segmented in that form. So, yeah.
Let me ask the question. Would you say, for instance, the Kenyans in the American diaspora are a homogeneous group? The answer will be no.
No.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure the same will be said of Europe, the same will be said of the Middle East. The question I'm asking is it possible to get an acceptable form of homogeneity so that you know these are things we agree on, these are things which we allow those in Texas wafanye hiyo ni yao, those in the South wafanye wherever it is wafanye, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because if you are asking for representation and that commonality is absent, even if it is granted to you. That's why I asked the question, how will it work?
So, as we are doing the proposal for the legislation, we are actually is still work in progress on that as well, and it will come all the way back to the coming up with the diaspora, like a structure. We are suggesting maybe a council or a board, but through a legislation, of course. So that one, it kind of now segment those specific issues in specific region. But for the nomination, it's purely political because some diasporians, they're not interested in politics at all. Some are just focused on investment.
Are they? Yes, but they're interested in being represented. Is that not so?
Yeah, they will.
You see, my point is, your ask should be accompanied by a suggestion or a proposal of a structure that would work. It makes it easier because one can then see a roadmap and see what you want, it will end up there. But right now, it is actually up in the air.
But Siti, if you say political parties to nominate 2 people from the diaspora, that's the same way as we've said, political parties to nominate 2 people representing youth and persons with disability.
Yes.
Because beyond that, then you don't start saying, oh, this person with disability must be rotating across the counties. It's the parties now to decide their own internal mechanism for putting together their list of nominees. Like now, when we say political parties in the Senate are supposed to nominate people who will be senators representing women, youth. It's the parties to decide.
It is.
And you end up with so various senators will be nominated.
So we do.
If I was to give you a suggestion, we gave the UDA party. So there was a certain structure of how they are supposed to have the diaspora leaders in their party, including having chapters across the world, different diaspora chapters. Then those chapters have leaders. Then the leaders now in specific chapters come together to form a specific region. Then that particular region, they come together to form the whole diaspora leadership of the party. So that specific structure, it can be used while they'll be selecting or nominating someone to be nominated through the UDA party. Another ODM can do a different approach. But my idea is at least we have a representative who we can hold to account or send to Parliament and speak on our behalf.
I think that now the other challenge will come whether that person is speaking on their behalf. All right? Right now, those who have been nominated to Parliament to represent the youth, there are many people in the youth category would say, this one doesn't even speak on our behalf. People have elected people, and not to represent matters of women, but just because of the issue of balancing the numbers in Parliament. We have a position called woman representative, not women's representative. It's a woman representative. That's the title of that position. But you hear, every time a woman rep stands up to speak, it'll always be there.
Satisfying Kenyans is a hard thing.
How do you propose to, just like coming into cities area, how do you propose to actually see that then there's a proper balance, that the person who's nominated from diaspora is, people will feel that they represent them, or there shall be a level of accountability. So in the beyond the nomination.
In the bill itself, we have given a certain criteria of who this thinks he or she must have. So we have also highlighted the specifics, including because we have diasporians, they live in Kenya, maybe they went to South Sudan, stayed there a few months, they came back. They may not qualify to be, they are not supposed to qualify.
They're not currently resident abroad.
Yeah, they're not currently. So there's certain criteria that we have set up as well. So we make sure that whoever will be selected, number one, is a person known in the community. Yeah? By that, there's some advocacy has been doing, and there's evidence to attach to that.
Okay.
That this person has been doing 1, 2, 3 in the diaspora.
Okay.
If there's any something that maybe has wrong reputation, I think the diaspora can try as much. I know changing the Parliament of Kenya is so hard, but if you can start the diaspora doing things in a clear and structured manner, it may have an impact in our democracy.
That is going to be very difficult if the diaspora or the Kenyans who live in the diaspora cannot find a way of finding commonality. Because again, even when the selections are made, the voices that will oppose it, the same thing we keep talking about will occur. I don't think it is an impossibility for you to find a commonality. It's not. because there's certain interests that unite literally all the Kenyans who are abroad.
Yeah.
Now you start with the things that unite you, and then you work along those ways. Because as it is now, as somebody who lives in Kenya, I look at what the PS in charge of diaspora does. That lady does a sterling job.
She's been doing well.
My friend, if there was a ministry that could be dedicated to the diaspora, if you consider just the amount of money they generate, that lady would represent the diaspora very well, because she, as you say, gets it.
Yeah.
She understands it. Now, she can't be the only one. There are other like-minded people who would serve your interests well. Now, you have to go about this particular matter and go beyond seeking to have a representation in parliament and ask, what other representation do you need to have that could be effective? Because what you're seeking to have is what is effective. You send someone to parliament, this particular parliament, this one.
It'll be the next one, not this one.
Yeah. So actually, as you say, the PS, she has really been trying, and with very low budget. Unfortunately, even having a diaspora conference this year is not possible because she doesn't. There's no budget.
You guys, you mchanga mfanya kitu 650 million mtoto.
No, you see, when the government is doing these things, there's a lot of cartels. They want to cut corners here and there, and she's standing firm and say, no.
Leave government alone. All of you come and say, all right, so this is how we shall create a side thing that can do a diaspora conference when we shall invite the government.
We always try.
Okay.
The diaspora always try, but as you say, there's always infights. The person who is driving that agenda is normally the issue, not specific conference.
I want to come to this issue of, leadership of caucuses, right?
Yeah.
So I remember a conversation that we had, I believe it was late last year or early this year, and we're having this diaspora conversation. There are leaders in the UK, there are leaders in Germany, there are leaders in Australia. I believe the other country was New Zealand. There was, of course, for the US. And I believe we had a South Africa conversation as well. There was one other country I can't remember.
East Africa as well.
Yeah, there was one other I can't hear. But what struck me was that there are individuals who are representatives, at the very least, from each of these countries. There are individuals who represent and are known to others, because I think often the temptation is to say that, Kenya diaspora is in the US, but it's not. It's across the world, and it's Saudi Arabia. So there's Saudi Arabia as well. And then you ask, is it possible for the leaders who are recognized in the diaspora in all of these countries to form a caucus of their own, so that without, having to scratch your head and wonder, okay, so who is the person that has to deal with this? You wake up in the middle of the night, somebody asks you who's the person for the UK, you go, you know who that person is. The same way you know who your member of parliament is for, wherever. You know who that person is. So it sounds like that could be the issue, that people don't know that, okay, this is the person. But we know, I believe we know who they are in these countries. So what stops it, if we're looking at levels now, to say, okay, there's no representation at parliament, but if we can come back and say, can these representatives who are known form a caucus, and then from there, these conversations start to move forward, as opposed to one person trying to do this and then backtracking and saying, okay, this is where we are. Is there no room for such a thing?
Thank you for one of the hardest questions for the diasporan is to unite those leaders.
It's hard to unite the leaders,
It's
okay.
very hard. They will come together, discuss, but maintaining the momentum is a hard call. Because some of them, we develop specific interests.
Yeah,
just the way we have in Kenya.
Yeah.
Maybe this one is getting mileage in the political space. This one is getting some mileage in the investment space. Then they start now fighting. There has been there. Even as we speak today, if you go to US, Europe, and even South Africa, kila mtu ni kiongozi. The diaspora, like almost everyone in the diaspora, is a leader in a specific.
Yes.
And he wants also to appear as a leader whenever they. So uniting these leaders has been a problem, and even PS will tell you, handling diaspora, it's hard. Yeah, because we deal with people who they have their own jobs, they are comfortable, they just talk to you. They are not expecting you to give them money.
So isn't that the challenge then?
Yeah,
That is the challenge.
The main challenge.
It's on the diaspora side. If you're not
The
able to
leadership.
coalesce around a
The
particular issue, how then will you come to Parliament and say, okay, well, this is one united voice. We want 1, 2, 3. When it's clearly evident that you're not able to unite.
The leaders in the diaspora,
Yeah.
unless they unite themselves, and that's why even when we talk to some of the politicians here, they don't take the diaspora so serious because they see how we fight each other. So in the social media, we go to X space, we're just talking on each
So
other.
you
things
take
like
all
that.
these bad traits we have in Kenya and you export them.
Yeah.
Mkenya ni Mkenya.
You broadcast them across the globe.
Yes,
You
we
know,
are-
Exports the issue.
This is how we go about our business.
But I thought actually, I don't see a need for even you being united. There's no need. In this country of ours, go to pick a constituency, Dagoretti South, all right? There's one guy in parliament, his name is KJ, but not everybody listens to KJ and agrees with KJ. It doesn't have to be. Once somebody, let's say, has let's say, the political parties are all mandated, and I like that idea, mandate them, let us have somebody representation of diaspora in the National Assembly. Let's say that every political party then will have at least 2 of its in the list of nominees to be someone from the diaspora. And I like the other idea. Then they'll come in with their credentials. And that should also actually just go across everybody who's being nominated. This person is youth. This is why we are nominating them. They have done this, this, and the other, and we believe that they have value. Once that person becomes a member of the National Assembly, they then are accountable to the people of Kenya across the globe, including those in the diaspora.
Yes.
They should champion for what is in the best interest of the people in the diaspora. I don't know who in the diaspora, for example, will come and say that, no, do not allocate
don't
money
want
to
to.
IEBC so that you can register more Kenyans, or don't allocate money to IEBC so that we can have electronic voting for people in the diaspora. I don't see who would argue against that. I don't see who would argue against talking about how can we harmonize or encourage more Kenyans to actually send money back home, because the remittances are good for this country in what they do, whatever, this and the other, or haven't. Who'd be arguing against that? And if those that argue against it, that is fine. That is the whole issue of
Democracy. Yeah.
Let them argue, let them propose something better.
Yeah.
If there's something better, let this leader accept that there's another better idea.
And that's how I was telling them that, yes, we have this proposal. If you see it is not nice, counter it with another one. Then let's weigh in and see which one is viable. Because there are some things, if you overstretch, the parliamentarians, the ones we have at the moment, they'll just be like, take it to trash. That's what they'll do. So we have been avoiding a lot of going deeper into the constitution amendment in our proposal as much as we want to, so that at least this one goes through. And I would say if it goes through, it will be the first time actually that a diaspora-led initiative has actually passed in Parliament. There has never been none.
So incremental gains.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have put together your proposal. It's in a presentation. You're saying you met with the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly yesterday. You have, who else have you met? You've met the Law Society of Kenya.
LSK.
Okay. What are you doing with them? What are you... What do you
They're
expect from them?
stakeholders in this conversation. JLAC, of course, is the one mandated to look at the elections legislation. LSK is very critical when it comes to oversight of this, and Madam Faith yesterday said that she gave us some questions on it to reason through, especially our proposal on unique identifier for the diaspora voters and electronic voting. It's a whole conversation. So LSK is very critical in this, and in case they don't implement, LSK can help us even to sue them as well.
Okay.
So we'll be meeting.
So at this point, you're still in the drafting stage.
Yes.
It's a proposal.
It's
stage.
a proposal.
You want input from the Law Society of Kenya. You want the members of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee to look at
we're
it.
meeting IBC today as well.
IBC
the
as well,
Secretariat.
asking them.
Yeah.
And then what? What are the steps?
So after we have engaged these stakeholders, of course, we cannot legislate it in Parliament. We leave it to the JLAC to now take the next step.
Do you want to draft a complete bill and take it to JLAC, or do you want to take a proposal and leave it to Parliament, a member of Parliament to take it as a private member's bill. What is the route? So I want to get the route where it gets to first reading in the National Assembly.
Yes. So we looked at various ways on how this can go through. We can do the government sponsor through the majority leader, Kimani Ichung'wah. Then you said, what are the percentage chances? We gave it 45%, because government has different priorities at the moment.
Yeah.
Maybe our legislation proposal may not be a priority for them.
Okay.
Then you said, get a member, private member, to sponsor it. At what cost? Do you think this member will be influential across the because this, election law in Parliament is very sensitive. Look at the current IBC.
Yeah.
It's stuck.
Yeah.
So we felt that JLAC, it could be a committee amendment bill. So the JLAC, through the chair, Mheshimiwa Murugara, can now introduce it to the Parliament as a committee. JLAC committee proposal or amendment bill.
Okay.
Of course, we have done the legwork, but we leave it to them. That one has higher chances going to the first reading than using these other existing. Another option is as a private citizen. And you can imagine our Parliament going in as Danson to take a bill to the Parliament. To never
There's
see the
also
day.
something else you can consider. From March next year, there's a chance that you'll have one more member of the diaspora who has considerable influence in this country, Raila Odinga.
Yes.
If he becomes chairman of the AUC, he will be a member of the diaspora. You can use him, go through, Junaid Mohammed, like this, like that,
Yeah, we'll be going to see him, Baba. We are heading there to see him and wish him well for the AUC and to welcome him to the diaspora. Once we are hoping, we are praying for him to win, and we are hoping that he'll be able to whip his side as well. So yeah, we have those options, and we are praying that also Latif and the team will support us on this, because we play a very critical role in this whole conversation.
You want Baba to be the chairman of diaspora in Addis Ababa.
Yeah. We are hoping we'll be able to set out a department for diaspora in the African Union, so that we can have a more structured engagement in AUC with the African diaspora. Yeah.
Okay. All the best. So we'll be following up on the progress that this is making as you go on, as you draft, as you come up with a draft, it's being subjected to public participation. Karibu tena.
Thank you so much.
And always grateful to you and other people in the diaspora who tune into the Situation Room.
Every day.
Every whatever
when
time.
I wake up, before I go, because when you guys start, it's normally 11 p.m. in Dallas. So before I go to sleep, I have to listen for 1 hour at least, based on the guests you have. So I have to tune in. Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good. So we've been having Danson Mukile, who is from the diaspora. He is a strategist and leader of diaspora affairs, Kenyan living there, with proposals on how to make sure that more and more Kenyans are able to participate in elections in the future. In the next hour, we'll be telling you more about how you can go into private banking, right?